the last edition of Journalist Hangout. This week, I am Ayodele Uzubakun. Today on the program, Arewa Consultative Forum seeks Buhari's intervention in the lingering NNPC crisis, calls for thorough investigation. Lawmakers recommend 30,000 naira as minimum wage. And later on the program, Kano State Governor Ganduje launches 540 million naira loan for civil servants. I'll be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Benga Oniselo. So if you're ready, let us hang out start now. Glad to have you join us again. The shameful crisis rocking the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, has shown that President Muhammadu Buhari's camp is hugely divided against itself. As Nigerians watch a series showing lack of tact in managing what ought to be bedroom disagreements, critics are beginning to question President Buhari's competence as a leader. Each time the presidency tries to cover up this monumental mess, the situation freely nosedives into greater mess. As the situation gets messier, the Arewa Consultative Forum, a northern group, went beyond ethnicity to join other Nigerians in urging Mr. President to speak. When will President Buhari intervene in these disgraceful acts? Mine is very... I thought the Vice President came out yesterday. Lalu made a first mistake. He wasn't clear about the position of the Vice President here. And later in River State, the Vice President actually cleared the air. And we were told that somebody in Abuja actually took on this program that we've been bribed by the Minister of State for Petroleum, that is Kachuku. That maybe he has. Do you? Maybe, how much was extended to you? Babajide, you'll be the principal culprit.
I wish. He's a certain insignificant member of the APC who goes by the name Dr. Kelainin Mohammed. You know, an insignificant APC member with an insignificant name. Someone who is not known in Nigeria. When you do not have a big name, you can label other people as thieves. You can draw attention to yourself. So we've reached that stage now that people can take pot shots at us because we are doing what is right. Nobody can buy.
We're not towing their line.
No, yes. Once you do not, you remember the other day the Senate, because we criticized them, they said it was Tinubu who told them to be doing what they are doing. So Tinubu has no job now beyond calling Jide and telling Jide, look, this is what I want you to say. Nobody tells me what to say. I've said it repeatedly. No member of my family can determine what I will say on a given day. I speak based on the dictate of my conscience. And if you bring money, I will put you to shame. If you offer money, I will put you to shame. People have tried it. We will not allow anybody to use money to ruin this program. Because this program is God's project for our country, as far as I'm concerned. It's God's project, and that's why Nigerians love this program.
I can't even remember
the day we now allow politicians, because politicians go around with their bags full of money, thinking that every Nigerian has a price. But we are telling people like Kalaini, or what is that his name again, that it is not everyone that has a price. If you still do not believe, try it. When Obasanjo thought he could bribe some people in the House of Reps during Gali Naba's time, they paraded the money that he offered them. So this is not, we think we do what we think is right, and many Nigerians are on our side. Many Nigerians think that this matter has been handled badly. They are on our side. You can't have a quarrel between two big men in the oil sector, and if you want the progress of our country, and allow what is going on to go on. So the people created this mess. This was an issue that could easily have been managed. But the people who created this mess were the people who told Baru to go and start running his mouth against his boss. There's nowhere it is done. Whether people like Elaine like it or not, by virtue of his being a minister, he's already Baru's boss.
Yes, the cabinet.
He's already Baru's boss. Yes, his name means shop owner, but he doesn't own the NNPC. And I'm saying it. He can own one little corner shop around his house, but not the NNPC. And we will continue to say the truth. Real Nigerians who love their country are saying that this matter should be handled dispassionately. Because every day we get confused. If the NNPC says that 640 billion naira worth of contracts were approved by the acting president, and the man comes out to say, no, I didn't approve contracts. I approved loans.
Cash calls.
You are only making us even more confused.
Honestly.
So in such a situation, do you expect journalists Hangout to not talk about it? If we do not talk about it, people will say, oh, they've been bribed. This is already bigger than a brand. If we choose to be silent on certain matters, we will start getting tweets. Oh, it's like they've settled them. No, we won't let it get to that point. We will be objective on the side of the truth. We will side with the truth at all times. We will side with the Nigerian people at all times. Because the moment we fail to do that, we've destroyed ourselves and we've destroyed our family names.
And history will not forgive us.
For me, and a lot of the people on this program, we will never compromise on what is right. What is right is that the NNPC should be run properly. The NNPC should no longer be signposted by fraud. The NNPC should no longer be signposted by graft. The NNPC should be run properly like Petrobras in Brazil. In fact, I'm looking forward to that day when the NNPC will come up with its own flotation, the same way that Petrobras did, and can get global subscription to its flotation. That is what I want. It was saying that we don't know anything about oil matters. Oh, so I cannot read.
Decipher.
I cannot read that when Mekanti Baru said that he is not obligated to refer to the board, that he said that in contravention of Section 6C of the NNPC Act, people like the bearded lawyer, Femi Falana, came out to show us that this man breached the NNPC Act. Let anyone, all of those putting spins around this whole matter in favor of Baru, let them come out and show us that Femi Falana lied, that there's no such provision in the NNPC Act. Then we can start talking from there. We are talking on the basis of law.
Bigger, as the president's, his silence, I don't think is helping matters.
Well,
and the vice president yesterday actually, when Laulu sent that tweet, when we saw it, and we were confused, and the vice president cleared the air yesterday, but that is not enough. The buck definitely stops at Mr. President's table.
Because the silence of the president, you can misconstrue it to be anything. When leadership over such matters keep quiet, the citizens can come up with any narrative because nature forbids vacuum, most especially when it comes to information management on an issue that is people are terming to be like a monumental fraud has happened. And when the major stakeholder, who is the president, that the buck falls on his table, that presides over these same people, keeps quiet, you start seeing narratives flying all around. And why some people are calling for the president to look into this matter? Why will you look into it? Why will you be asking the president to look into a matter where one way or the other his name has come on board as somebody that gave approval on something that should not even be, something that did not even follow the guidelines of NNPC, that did not even follow even when you look even into the Procurement Act itself, which gets its powers from the Constitution. The sad thing is this: you cannot preside over a matter or investigate a matter when your name keeps coming up as somebody that probably gave the approval. We're not sure yet, but the silence of the president on this matter leaves room for people to say whether all the things Baru said, whether they are true, or all the things Kachukwu said, whether they are true or not. Look at the way the vice president responded on this issue when Laolu Akonde, that's still the, either way anybody wants, that's still the best spokesman from Aso Rock. He made a silly mistake by putting the wrong narrative in his write-up, mentioning contracts. And that was what generated the whole, thankfully, the vice president is always on top of his game.
Yes.
He had to respond and said, look, it's about the cash call. There are two things that happen within the NNPC. There is the joint venture agreements, whether with the IOC, Shell, Chevron, and all that, which is based on maybe 60-40 or 55-45, depending on the agreement. But there is a cash call where you have to make a provision for your own funding on the joint venture. And that has been pending even since the Jonathan administration. And that was what he approved for the loan to be made available to Nigeria to contribute their quota. But there's another part where the one of contract exploration, where NNPC 100% is responsible for that. And that is the major contention. There are two different things here. So people
just lumped everything
together. But I'm glad a program like this exists to separate things. So it's the 100% one that NNPC is responsible for. That Kachukwu is saying you are the one that even constituted the tenders board. You constituted the tenders board, and you are sitting on the chairman of the tenders board. You are the one that brought all the bids and contracts and pushed it to them at the end of the day. So who
will clear it?
Who will clear it? And now you are saying you got approval. Why the president, through the president, you even wrote the write-up. And the sad part is the president, the way it is, it's like the presidency was the one that even gave him an instruction to do a rejoinder to Kachukwu's memo that was leaked through a press conference.
He wouldn't have summoned that courage to do if it wasn't some big man, you know, telling him go and do this.
So it's that's why it's
now
a
it
mess.
has backfired.
That's why it's a mess. That's release to the media should never have happened.
Yes.
This is something that
It's
should
something
be
they could have resolved
handled
among
internally.
themselves.
Not that they are covering anything,
in fact, somebody
but
was even
handled professionally, internally. Then later you can release a release to
and
Nigerians
say that, look,
on the matter.
this has been resolved.
This has been resolved.
You know what I was telling people? I said, no fraud has taken place. No money was stolen. We can't see money stolen. From this whole thing, Kachukwu himself has not said money was stolen.
It's just due process.
Just due process breached. And an attempt by someone to constantly disrespect his boss.
Yeah.
That is the issue here. And you can't, as the shop owner, decide that, look, you want to make appointments.
It's not a shop owner, he's a franchise holder.
You want to make appointments without a recourse, appointments that have national...
It's a national...
it's
a core item.
You see, because in Nigeria, we have what we call the federal character principle. So every appointment at that level must meet the federal character principle criteria.
Okay.
Now, you do not make, you on your own, you chose to do it. You didn't even talk to the minister.
Judy,
There's no way that can be justified.
Let's quickly take this breather. When we come back, we're still on this case. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Journalist Hangouts. Judy, we still on this NNPC crisis. Arewa Consultative Forum.
Yes.
I expected that normally, you know, they would have, you know, all these ethnic organizations and everything. I expected that a little bit of sentiment would have, you know, been, you know, they would have deployed sentiment, but
they didn't.
Quite objective about this.
Very, very objective. They are saying, look, this matter has to be dispassionately investigated. That's what they are calling for, and I'm really impressed in them. It's not all the time that they impress me. Most times they refuse to impress me. But on this call, Arewa Consultative Forum said the right thing. They spoke like decent Nigerians. They spoke like Nigerians that have self-respect. Because to queue behind someone and ignore some of the, because they were even referring to like administrative infractions.
Yeah.
Meaning that, yes, they even own up that some of these things were mere administrative infractions by Baru, and that it shouldn't have degenerated to name calling by these two individuals. So the irresponsible decision to attack Kachiku is what led to this whole thing.
Yeah,
and it has the potential now to expose to Nigerians what Nigerians didn't know before. Many Nigerians didn't know that this same NNPC had refused to even remit more than 20 billion to the Federation account. Yeah. And another 371, what's it called?
Billionaire.
Yes, based on what?
N30.
The complaints of N30. So this whole thing has exposed all that they had been doing.
And we claim to be fighting corruption.
Yeah, all that they had been doing. And Nigerians are saying, look, things must change under the new administration. It shouldn't be like before. This NNPC has refused to go before the Senate to say, okay, we want to defend our budget. And the Senate complained. But they still see themselves as bigger than everybody. The NNPC still sees itself as untouchable. Where in the world is that done? You must subject yourself to scrutiny. So which is the thing? When a GMD of NNPC says, oh, that he does not have to talk to the minister, and then he will initiate contracts and take those contracts to a tenders board that he heads. Where is decency in that? It smells of immorality. Whichever way we can look at it. It smells of immorality. To your own contracts, ideas that you generated, you now internal tenders board that you constituted that you had. You now go and sit in judgment in your own matter. Where is that done? I mean, it's like a judge having a case of rape.
And is the judge in his
and
own
is the
case.
Judge, he would discharge and acquit himself. So it is wrong. We should look at the morality. We should not even talk about the money alone. Of course, some people have been shouting, oh, this is another scandal. It's just a storm in a teacup. There's really nobody has stolen money. We have not said here that money has been stolen.
We have to make
our
that
concern is about breach of procedures. Because in our country, if we really want to have a properly run country, due process must not be sidetracked. It must not be sidetracked. Today, it is Kachiku. Tomorrow, it could be
anybody.
It could be maybe the fan MD that is fighting with the Minister of State. I don't know why they call him Minister of Aviation. It's not Minister of Aviation. It's a Minister of State. Yeah. You know, they've given him a portfolio that he doesn't have. It could be, the Minister of State Aviation. You know, that the fan MD will be talking to anyhow. If he has the hairs of the powerful people in Aso Rock, the Abakiaris of this world, the King Gibes of this world, you know, if he has their hairs, he can begin to poke his nose at
Abdul Malik is calling us from Borno State. Thank you for joining us, Abdul Malik.
Thank you, sir. Hello?
Yes, go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, Uncle Ayo, Uncle Jide Bianga, I greet you all.
Thank you. Yeah, okay.
Oh, we lost him. Benga, now, but how do we fix the rot in NNPC?
Well, it's
throughout the period of Olusegun Obasanjo, Yaradua, Goodluck Jonathan.
Obasanjo didn't allow audit of NNPC.
It's always been like
throughout
that.
8 years, no
At
audit.
the point in time, Bola Tinubu even called NNPC as the ATM of some politicians.
the NNPC, with what we've seen over the years, has become like a leviathan. It's become the albatross through which any ruling party funds whatever they want to fund. Because records, no transparency, no show of records, no audits, no accountability. At the sad part is the president is the minister for petroleum. So he still presides over that same institution, one way or the other.
He should give up that post.
So he needs to let go of that post Also, the Procurement Act that we have empowers a council called Procurement Council that should sit on top of all these institutions. I think the Procurement Council needs to be constituted to sit upon all these issues. On the long run, the NNPC should be restructured to be a complete business entity away from government. Like you have Petrobras, like you have Saudi Arabia doing with Aramco. It should be an entity that is listed on the stock exchange out of the control of government. Any entity that does things like contracts, money, loan, I think it's high time we begin to pull them away from the hands of government. Let them become entities that are under legislation, that are backed up by law, that are quoted, and the people, the Nigerian people, have a stake in the running of it. Let it become a complete business entity. Till it becomes that, until we get to that position, you will never know the history or record of anything that is going on in NNPC. These issues will keep coming up because this same issue that happened with the good managing director of NNPC and the Minister of Petroleum, the same thing happened under Yar'Adua.
Yes.
You know Yar'Adua.
They talked about it.
Yes.
It happened. The same thing happened under Yar'Adua. Ajumagbeya and
Ajumogobia and the then MD.
The MD. Then when Lukman took over as the energy, I forgot what the position he took over. The same thing kept on happening. So until that entity becomes a fully business privatized.
It means that even presidents are complicit.
Yeah.
They are complicit in the poor running of the NNPC.
They deliberately allow it to happen.
Mike is calling us from Lagos. Oh, I think we have to just keep trying. Just keep trying, Mike. Just keep trying from Lagos. So, Jude, the same question I'll put to you: how do we sanitize this sector, this particular NNPC?
You know, in this matter, for example, I would expect the president to treat it dispassionately. Get people from outside the presidency. Because within the presidency, there are all kinds of interests, layers of interest, layers of tendencies. And those guys, as I've said before, a lot of the people around the president don't share his anti-corruption thing.
It's on his own.
Give them the Quran or Bible, let them swear with it. They don't share. The president, yes, decent man, clean as a whistle. The same thing with the vice president.
For the first time.
For the first time, we have a perfect, what's it called, combination of people that corrupt people cannot leverage on their closeness to them to get them to do what is unjust. But there are people in the presidency, around the president, who do not share his vision. They are there just to line their pockets. Such people will be misadvising Baru, and rather than Baru showing wisdom, he would think that it is right to do what they have told him. But at the end of the day, it is about you.
Okay, let's try Victor from Benue State. Thank you, Victor, for calling.
Thank you very much.
All right. Go ahead with your contribution.
Want to ask. Hello?
Yes, Victor, you're on.
I want to ask, please. Are you sure the man in Aswak is really Buhari?
What do you mean by that?
You call this man Mr. Integrity. Yes, I'm asking, please. Are you sure the man in Aswak is really Buhari?
We call
him Mr. Integrity. We call him Mr. Integrity.
Yes.
And this thing is happening, and he's keeping quiet. You have the case of the Idris, the Inspector General of Police. He's still keeping quiet. Is he really Mr. Integrity? And this confirms the fact that there's a cabal that is holding the president hostage. May God help Nigeria.
Amen.
Thank you, Victor.
Thanks for that short. We've also been telling the president that he can't be silent on matters like this. There is no justification to be silent in matters like this. The president should not be behaving as if he's already a captive of some of the people around him, some of the selfish people around him. He should not. He should show that he's in charge. He should show that he towers above the selfish people around him. Because he should cast his mind back to 1985. the people around him who had no interest in his success were the same people who made sure that they discredited him and laid the foundation for the Babangida coup of 1985. So the president has to show to us who is in charge. He has to be strong. I said it last week that he has to show strength of character when it matters the most, because that was what a lot of us saw in him that made us to give him that support. This is not the time to keep quiet. You must talk. You must talk, and people should see the direction that their president wants them to be headed. This is exactly what we want.
After this break, reps recommend 30,000 naira as minimum wage to avert looming crisis. Stay with us. Welcome back. Nigerian workers have had to endure years of struggle in their demand for a better minimum wage since 2011, when it was increased to 18,000 naira. They have prayed and fasted tirelessly just to get the good news of a wage increase. But whatever hope they have fades away at the last minute. They pay bills and have families to take care of, just like their colleagues in the private sector. Yet they receive a meager 18,000 naira monthly and embrace life challenges as they come. But it seems they might just be having a reason to smile and rekindle their hope for a better minimum wage. Just yesterday, members of the House of Representatives recommended 30,000 naira as a new minimum wage for them in order to avert a looming crisis. Is this coming at a better time? Benga, 30,000 naira. Labor leaders, I think, have over their proposal. I think it was 63 or 57,000 naira. Thereabouts. But the House of Rep, they're meeting at the middle. But we know the mess we have with even 18,000 naira. That as I'm talking to you, we can list the number of states that are paying salaries and that can even afford to pay 18,000 naira. Because you discover that they are paying these salaries in percentage, and it's not all states are paying the 18,000 naira minimum wage.
I think one of the first things I will say here, 30,000 naira is less than $100, maybe about $80, $85. That's what 30,000 naira is. And if you look at statistics that says that over 70% of Nigeria live on less than $1, less than $2 a day, maybe about $1 a day. That's the statistic because of the depreciation of the naira, devaluation of the naira. Yeah. Probably those. So, but what I will say is this: we still keep thinking the same way when it comes up to wages. We still want the same wages to be paid all over Nigeria. The same people should earn the same thing. Where the living conditions. In
the federal system of government.
Yeah, where the living conditions, the economic realities vary from one state to another.
So staying in Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt is
you
different
understand? Even staying in Bauchi, Borno, the cost of living or the standard of living there is different. The economic realities is different. Cost of transportation, power supply, quite a lot of reality. So when people just come, permit me to say, these reps, they are not as intelligent as we told them to be. Whatever they are trying to do, this is not intelligence. Because in Nigeria, the civil service does not pay salaries based on productivity. Based on your contribution on ingenuity or what will bring to the table. That is not, so look, Nigeria has always said something. If you need to lay off, lay off. If you know you can't pay this, people will start shouting, no, you want to increase unemployment. But you must have a way where you plan redundancy for the people that need to exit. Now, the 30,000 we are talking about to avert looming crisis. I think it's high time every state should sit on their own and begin to determine what will work for the reality of the workers. And this is where the labor congresses, this is where
Lagos State can afford 50,000 naira as minimum wage.
That's what you should pay. That's the reality.
That's the
reality. Because, look, taking care of workers is beyond just paying wages. Like I tell some of my younger colleagues and all that when you want to get a job, look beyond wages. Look at the other benefits that come with the job. It's not always about salaries. It's about the benefits. Now, even if the salary is 18,000 or 20,000, what other benefits do you give to those workers to either subsidize their living conditions? Whether it is transportation you are subsidizing, whether it's the health that you're subsidizing, whether it's the education that you're subsidizing. Wages is one thing, but the realities of the things they face daily, transportation costs, education of their children, rent or accommodation, quite a whole lot of other logistics. That is the way I think we should be thinking. The living conditions that affect people, though in varying environment, they vary. So when you want to talk in terms of wages should not be the same all over Nigeria.
Okay, Babajide, what's your take on this?
You see, the thing is, these matters are constitutional matters. It's in the Constitution that the minimum wage shall be reviewed. It's in the Constitution that there shall be a minimum wage
across the board,
across the country.
Oh my God!
So we cannot really blame these lawmakers when they are trying to have us obey the dictates of the Constitution. That's exactly what has happened. The last time minimum wage was reviewed was in 2011. That's 7 years ago. We should have reviewed this minimum wage 2 years ago. And we are stalling and stalling. There's supposed to be a tripartite committee made up of the labor union, the Employers Consultative Association and all that. But the government has refused to initiate the process of a review of the minimum wage. And everyone knows that high inflation, weak naira has made life unbearable for people who are on fixed income. So what are we talking about? Why are we delaying? If we cannot, we suggested to them that, look, if you cannot pay this minimum wage, you can downsize. But because election and other politics, we would rather put ourselves in a position in which our capacity to win re-election is not threatened. So because of that, we are unwilling to do what is right. Because what is right sometimes may not be palatable. What is right sometimes will bring pain. It's just like having babies. Having babies is a pleasurable thing. But it comes with so much pain to the mother especially. So, but we won't say because it comes with so much pain, or we don't want to be making.
Okay, I think we have this long distance call. God's Day from Italy.
Hello?
Thank you for joining us. God's Day, thank you for joining us.
Good evening to you guys.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah. Thank God today that I'm able to join the program today.
You're welcome, God's Day.
Thanks.
Today I succeeded. Okay. Thanks to Babajide, the other guy that is very close to you there, and you the moderator.
Thank you, God's Day.
I'm very annoyed the way Babajide is doing today because our president cannot be keeping quiet so long like this. It doesn't help the situation of the country. The issue that is happening in NNPC today is very simple. Why can't you allow the minister to question the GMD of the company? Why are you blocking it? Of what interest does the president have to take away from this? And the vice president has said, said it that I didn't approve all these things that you're telling me. This is what I do. Then where will this one lead us to at the end of the day? And we are not telling we are not telling ourselves the truth.
We are telling ourselves
Look at what is happening to the IG of police. Look at what is happening to the minister.
God's day, we will discuss the IG's matter later.
Senator at the end of the day.
Thank you.
Then where are we heading to? Like?
Thank you. Thank you, God's day.
It is not right to say we are not telling ourselves the truth. We've been telling ourselves the truth.
We don't listen.
People will tell people the truth and they put hands-free in their ears. They will not hear you. With hands-free in their ears, they will not hear you. So it's not as if we are not telling people the truth. Don't say we are not telling people.
We're not ready to listen.
We can't do beyond this. We cannot go and storm Aso Rock and be slapping people. We tell the people the truth. We tell the government the truth. That's why that character organized the press conference and was abusing us. Because the truth is bitter. So God's day, we tell people the truth. We are patriots. We want our country to be better run. We have said that it is inexcusable for the president to not talk. We've been saying this every day since this thing happened.
Yeah,
you know,
beginning of the week.
We've been saying it.
Now, back to the subject matter now. Jide, Benga raised this particular issue, was saying that the reality on ground in Lagos could be different from Ekiti states. That, okay, apart from being law, apart from being a statutory thing, what will you recommend?
I also do not agree that people should be the same minimum wage across the country. In America, for example, what your minimum wage in Massachusetts is even higher than that of New York. It's higher. I think they have the highest in the country. Maybe things have changed. I really do not know. The last time I checked, they had the highest. So as a worker in Massachusetts, you get to earn more than people in other parts of the U.S. That's the way it should be. Because look, if you live in Benue, for example, you will know that food is cheaper. You see oranges getting rotting away on the tree. You go to eat, they give you, they squeeze orange juice into a bottle for you, and you drink. Whereas in Lagos, if you go to there's one eatery there, that same juice, fresh juice. They will
blend it for you.
That same fresh juice that they tell you that they are selling to you. You buy it for maybe like 2,000 or 3,000 naira.
2,000 naira for a glass cup.
You know, but it's rotting away in Benue. So food is cheaper in Benue and most parts of the north than in Lagos here, because they bring it all the way from the north to Lagos. So transport costs has to be factored into everything. So I do not agree that we should, there's the same minimum wage. But even in that north that we are talking about, Zamfara, for example, cannot even pay the minimum wage, the current minimum wage.
Which is 18,000 naira.
So the resources of states should determine what they pay the worker.
Okay, let me quickly take this break. When we come back, we'll ground off. Welcome back. Still on the 30,000 naira minimum wage as recommended by the House of Representatives. Benga, when you want to look at inflation, purchasing power, and what you have, what can 30,000 naira in Lagos, Nigeria, fetch you?
Like I told you earlier, it's about $85. So what can you really do with $85? If a bag of rice, maybe now it's about 10,000 or 12,000 naira.
Okay, that means it has gone down. It has come down.
that means it has come down.
Maybe you've not been buying rice or something.
I don't know. I'm just saying. That's why I'm reading everywhere.
So
you will try to get a bag of rice for 10,000.
Let's even say a bag of rice is 10,000.
I think it came down to like 15, 16.
With somebody that has about 2 kids, that stays in an area where you don't have light regularly, that you have to buy minimum about 1,000 naira fuel every 2 days.
And transport costs.
To power your generator, transport costs. I don't think that guy will last more than a week or...
He must pay school fees.
And he must pay school fees. So that's why I said earlier. That's why
it's not a living wage.
It's not a living wage. It's just a pocket change. That's why I said earlier, governors as well in most of these states should start thinking, being innovative. How do you subsidize the critical things that affect the day-to-day living conditions? How do you create subventions around those things like transportation, education of children? Those are the things you should be focusing on.
Babajide, your final take on this?
Yes, I think that the minimum wage whatever it is. The governor of Gombe State said he's prepared to pay, I think, 56,000.
56?
Yes,
that's Governor Dakwambo.
Dakwambo, former Accountant General of the Federation.
56?
He's one of the best governors in Nigeria today. Forget about the fact that he's in the PDP. You know, where we think good things can't happen. But he's a good governor. He can pay 56. Now, even 56 will not solve all the problems. Other countries try to take education, shelter, they try to make it affordable. So once you take care of all of those basic needs, the people will have enough to take care of how to survive and all that. You know? So that is the thing. So government should gear its efforts at that, because I know it will be difficult to increase the minimum wage.
Well, we have to move on now. Now, the status of 2,600 civil servants across all levels in Kano State are about to change for good. They are the beneficiaries of Governor Abdullahi Ganduje's vehicle loan scheme. Reports say 540 million naira was disbursed to them at no interest. Isn't this good news, gentlemen? In Nigeria of today?
Yes, a governor giving out car loan.
540 million.
You see, Ganduje inherited a hefty debt stock from Kwankwaso.
Yeah.
Because Kwankwaso took loans here and there. Kwankwaso got Kano students to be sent abroad, some of them to be trained as pilots, you know, sometimes courses that are not really going to be beneficial
to the state,
you know, even to the fellow who has been trained. If, for example, they send you out to be marine engineer, aeronautic, this. Right now, people are not even employing Nigerian pilots. They are reluctant to employ Nigerian pilots.
True.
So, I'm not against him sending people abroad, but it came at a huge cost to the Kano State government, because you have to keep those children there, you have to keep paying and all that. So, but in spite of that, this old man has managed to consistently pay salaries, and he has managed to pay pensions as well. It fits into the culture of governors of that state, because the former governor too, Shekarau, made sure that he paid pension up to date until he left office. And we are in a situation in which some governors refuse to pay pension for as many as 21 months. So if this man is doing that, and he has even come up with this car loan scheme, then he deserves to be commended. Other governors should look at how he manages to do it. Yeah. One good thing that I see Kano doing is the collaboration with Lagos. Kano expressed the desire to learn from Lagos. Lagos is truly the center of excellence. And Ambode is the star. When we were looking at governors in this country, that's why someone called him Governor General. He's simply above everyone in terms of what he has done within this short time. So Kano State asked for some officials of Lagos government to come to Kano to see how they do things, and so that they can share ideas and learn from them in the area of revenue generation and all that. So those guys, including the SSG, they went to Kano. So you will see that that is a state that wants progress. Yeah. And wherever they can learn, they are willing to learn, you know, so that that can translate to the people. And of course, the distraction that the emir constituted, that has been taken care of. The emir no longer talks. He no longer disturbs the governor with his needless criticism. So Ganduje can focus. I think someone told me that nobody can stop him from talking. But we can see that the emir no longer talks. So indeed, someone can stop him from talking. Yeah. So he's been told to face the traditional institution. So he no longer talks, no longer intervenes. You know,
no longer reports. People
yes. So the governor can focus on running the state rather than the distraction that
540 million.
You know, that's part of what I was saying earlier. How do you subsidize the living conditions and quality of life of the people? And governance is about the people.
And there's no interest, though.
Yeah, that's the beauty. Do you know how much they sell a brand new car right now? Maybe a Kia Rio, you are getting it for close to about 8, 9, 10 million. So 2-3 years ago, those vehicles were about 3 million.
Damn.
So how will somebody in civil service afford to buy a brand new car of 8 million. Just a basic functional car. But with something like this, no interest, and probably, who even knows how much the amortization on it, how many years, maybe they're going to pay for 5 years.
I'm sure it will be flexible.
Very flexible. So that they will still have their takeover will still be, yeah. So I think it's something to be applauded. And it's something that I think other governors should start looking at. The reality, that's why I said, the realities of the state. What exactly can you subsidize for your people? Somebody is taking
from salary.
Aside from salary, you know, I said earlier, salary is not the main thing. The other benefits that affect, like education, health, transportation, the things that really compete for your wages.
Yes.
How does the governor of a state subsidize that? If you can effectively subsidize that, then people can use their money to save and do other critical things, and probably have a bit rise above the minimum level of living. And I think it should be applauded, and people and the other states that are not even on this path at all, maybe they should learn, like Jide said.
The likes of Yaya Bello, governor of Kogi State,
Imo States, all of them.
Let them take a cue from this. It's very important. Babajide?
I know why you are bringing Yaya Bello, but
it's because of
his
you.
I choose today not to talk about him. You think you can draw me out by bringing Yaya Bello? It's not the only. In Benue State, workers went on strike the other day. Now,
Fayose just paid May, and people were jubilating. He said he used it as a welcome of those guys that were released. He just paid May, and people were jubilating.
And this is
you see, they are in the same. They all go to Abuja to collect FAC. So how are some governors able to do it? You know, I've asked this question repeatedly. How will the governor in Anambra, for example, how is he able to pay? That's the largest state in the southeast. How is he able to pay?
It's a function.
There are some governors who do not owe, and some can't even pay at all.
The quality of your team.
You go, you collect. You see, when governors can focus on erasing some of the areas through which resources are leaking, honestly, they will be able to do a lot. They will be able to do a lot.
Drain pipes.
But you see, some people don't even think that they should do something about areas through which the resources are leaking. When you're able to do that, you will save money. And you'll be able to now...
That's why some civil servants don't like Ambode in Lagos, because he has
They don't like him. They are even saying, if I had someone saying that, in future we will never vote for an accountant.
Because he has
blocked to be an accountant now is now a crime.
He has blocked all
the imagine how people think. To be an accountant is a crime now. So Ambode. But your work will speak for you at the end of the day.
Yes, sir.
Civil servant consume less than just a fraction of the population.
Less than
Other
10%.
people will see what...
They are less than 10% of the population.
I want to thank you, Gbenga Onitilo, and Babajide Kolade Otitoju. Thank God it's Friday.
Yes,
TGI.
just tell us where you are taking us.
TGIF. And that's it on Journalist Hangout. Join us next week for another interesting episode of the program. You can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. and all our platforms that you can see on the screen right now, and all our alternative platforms. And you can also get our feedbacks on Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I'm Ayodele Ozubaku. Nice weekend. Bye, and God bless Nigeria.